Hi, I'm Jen Black. Welcome to my creative art studio, where art is energy. When we engage with art, there's a vulnerability that leads to empowerment. The transformative power of art is in the seeing, feeling, imagining, creating, and then sharing. A creative practice will enhance all aspects of your life. Today, we are going to find out what the point is in my owl pointillism and coloring pages. Be sure to download those if you have not already. All right, so here we have the pointillism version. I also have the coloring version. I have supplied you with practice spot for your colors, your dots, making sure that you like the way the pen works. And it is completely up to you what this ends up looking like and how much of it you actually color. I printed this, don't mind my camera, on cardstock. So it gives me a little bit more to work with. It's totally cool if you put it on copy paper, printer paper. If you are really like, this is a work of art that I'm going to spend a lot of time on, and then maybe frame it or give it away, you can invest in getting a little bit better quality paper. But I have cardstock. It's a little bit on the creamier side. I did that so that when I'm filming, the whiteness isn't radiating on you. Um, all right, so artistic choices to make. What are you using? Are you using um, pen? I like these pens. You can use fancier pens. We love coloring in our house, so we have tons of pens. What are your color choices, right? Those are all things for you to discover. And luckily, you can print more of these if you decide, I don't like the way that looked, or I love it, but I want to try it in these other color schemes. So, keep that in mind as you are creating with this. Now, taking on the pointillism might feel a bit overwhelming. And you're like, I want results right away. If you look in the one example I have in the printouts, you'll see that there are certain areas that I used like full coloring, and then I just enhanced with the points and didn't, still feel like you like every spot has to be pointed. I, for me, I like to start in the background and work my way forward. And so, these spaces behind the owl and the moon and the trees are my background. You can opt to just leave those empty as well. And then I would move into my moon, my trees, and then my owls. Now, the key with a pen is that it's wet. I'm a lefty and I tend to hold my hand really close to the paper. So I have to be really mindful to start on one side, on my right side, and work my way through. But also with pen, it's wet. And so you'll find that you'll work in an area and then need to move around. So just keep that in mind too, where you could be working on this part of the background. Maybe you feel like I want to work on the moon for a little bit, or I'm going to work on the owls for a little bit. But talking about working it from the background to the foreground, that is just for the final look too. Just knowing that, when I feel like I'm done and I'm fine tuning, I really need to pay attention to, do the owls look like they're in the front of those trees? Does the sky look like it's behind everything else, or does it look like the sky's swallowing? So just kind of keeping that in mind. So let's get started. I don't know. I just kind of go with my creative flow. What do I feel like doing? What color schemes do I want? I'm going to, I'm really considering keeping my background this creamy color. I kind of like it. If I were to color it in, I think I would use color pencil, a combination of some purples and blues. So usually is how I roll. That's my favorite color, is purple. And yeah, so let me gonna come in here with the camera a little bit more. You'll see, you don't see it on mine, maybe a little bit fadey there where it's the border. And I will fill it in really lightly. Uh, if I do decide to add in some points, some pointillism into my sky, I want um, my pen mark to show up. So if I'm using crayon or anything like that, will not show up. It will just like kind of swallow and even ruin your pens. I'm leaving some gaps here for clouds. So, and I'm gonna go a little bit more circular here. Come back in. So I do have the option to do some pointillism in this area as I go along. The tricky part with all of this, right, is if you are putting color in, is filling filling in those blank spaces. So right now with my plan with my color pencil, I can go in there and know that I can get my points, my little dots taken care of as I go along. You might be thinking, you know, that perhaps this whole sitting down and doing a coloring project when there's so much going on in the world that isn't always positive might be a little bit scary or very scary. Don't feel guilty. This is the best thing you could be doing for yourself, those around you. If you want to be of service in any way with what's happening in the world, you'll be able to show up refreshed, tap into the creative universal flow, your higher power, God, whatever it is that brings you peace. And I find, art in general and creating art or creating a yummy meal or creating a clean house, it feels good. It reinvigorates me to be able to show up for the rest of life with a really positive energy. So, really enjoy this process. These more fine points, if you have some of the more markery kinds, just be aware. I'm doing a little bit of yellow to start. Can you even see that? Maybe not. um, so with the pointillism, if you really want to take this and really spend some time on it, let me focus my camera here for you a little bit so you can see my points. I'll pick another color, I think, so you can see. You can kind of see. But it is a quick drop down and leave some space and come back. So then you get these perfect dots. If you go dot on top of dot, it's going to bleed into one another and you lose that look. Uh, it, you want it, you can come back in, right? You go back in if you want it more opaque, more filled in. But it is really, really easy to overdo it. So just keep that in mind as you go along. And it is just super duper meditative doing this. Put on some music that you like, or if you just want complete silence, sometimes that is nice as well. But definitely enjoy that quiet space as you're coming along and creating this. I am going to grab for a moment my pen. I love these pens. We get them at the dollar store for like a pack for $1. And I love them. They do kind of give you a bigger dot coming in. So I really have to be mindful of that. Another thing I want to mention is move your piece around. That's why I have it on a clipboard too, so I can cuddle up in my favorite chair and, work on this. But move your piece around to make it work for you. So if that means taking it out of the clipboard, right, and transitioning it, be sure to do that. You always want to be comfortable when you're making something, especially something like this where you want it detailed, but you also want to de-stress. So I find it best no matter what I'm doing to be able to be flexible and move things according to what I want. And I would like some purple into my big craters here. And right, moon, it's like whitish, um, a little bit silvery looking. Yeah, in the spaces that aren't cratered, later on when it's completely dry, I will use a thin, careful layer of iridescent white mixed with some gloss medium, which I could do a video on that process when I'm there. It's going to be a while before I get to this piece, so TBD as far as when that release would be. But if you're like, I can't wait for you, I'm going to do it, just make sure everything is super dry. Test it out on a side, right? You have the side that you've been testing things out as you've been making the project, and just see if your ink is going to smear. Everybody's ink is slightly different. So, what you're using, you want to just make sure that you don't ruin the whole thing. And I'm coming in now with some gray. So, I want to gradiate away from this and go into more of just the solid color I already have. And then also just being mindful of I'm going to be adding stuff along these branches. So that's the areas I'm going to strategically not do anything because I don't know yet what my plans are. Am I going to do some leaves on this? Right? One thing I do, especially with this work, I don't want to waste my time getting something the way I want to just cover it up again. So that especially with this, I'm pretty sure I'll probably put a little something on there, leafy wise. Maybe not. Maybe create some more distinguished branches. You can always go back in and carefully add some cratering or just a few dots here or there. This is one of those things where less is more. Like the less you do, the more impacts it has on there. At the convenience of stopping the recording for a little bit and letting these dots, these darker dots, dry. Now that they're dry, I'm coming back in with some of my yellow to lighten those up, right? They're like, whoa, that's super dark. So once they're dry, you can come back in, or right, you can come back in with whatever colors you're feeling like you need to come into. I think I'm going to add a little bit of gray up in here. And this is where I'm going to leave you to have fun. If you have questions, definitely reach out to me. And you have my email. I will continue making videos and offering resources on this piece as I work through it. But I want to have you take it on your own. Definitely share out with me how things turned out. I love seeing artists work. Relax, enjoy, take a break from the madness. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb if you're able to do that, and unplug. Enjoy. Thank you.